Welcome to Panels and Borders. I'm Dominic. So I wanted to talk about some of the graphic novels that I have and some of the recommendations that I'm going to give. So that's what this video is going to be. This is going to be like a new segment I'm going to start doing on my channel, where I just go through some of the graphic novels that I own, that I have in my collection, and then give a quick review of them, overview, and give my recommendations of what's good and what might not be so good. But the ones I'm going to start with today, they're all pretty good. So the first one I'm going to start with, now this is a classic, it's been out for years, is Hawkworld. Now it's been a while since I've read this, so I'm not 100%, I don't remember the plot 100%, but from what I can remember, this was basically a reboot of Hawkman. And it was a pretty successful book, and this graphic novel is excellent. Now, I'm not a big Hawkman fan. I never was a big Hawkman fan. Like, I never collected Hawkman regularly. I might have picked up a Hawkman comic here or there, but I really love this story. This was a fantastic story, and the artwork in it is just amazing. And the artist kind of has this kind of like gritty style that kind of matches the tone of the story. Like, the story and the artwork really fit well together, in my opinion. And it's a really great stuff. Like, in my opinion, this is like DC at one of its best. This graphic novel right here. So definitely, if you find this one, give this one a read. This one's awesome. Now, the next one I'm going to talk about is a little bit newer, and it might not be and it's not as well known. But it's this one, Lady Mechanika. And this is volume 4. Now this one, some of the volumes are kind of hard to get. I found this one on eBay. And so I got a sample of this, I think, on Free Comic Book Day, and was instantly hooked on the artwork and the story, and wanted to consume as much of it as I could get my hands on. So it's basically, the character is... she's kind of like a cross between, she's almost kind of like a Laura Croft, Indiana Jones type character. She's like a traveler, kind of like adventurer kind of character. And, but she has like mechanical parts. She's like almost like a cyborg. But it's set in this like steampunk setting. So it's like an alternate world where it kind of looks like almost like the Victorian age kind of thing. But it's all like that steampunk style. And one thing about the artwork in this book is amazing. Like, stuff that you haven't seen, like, if you can see that, like, look at that. Like, stuff you haven't seen in a really long time. Like, really fantastic artwork. Like, stuff you've seen from Image in the 90s and stuff. And this story was a really good story. Now, I started with volume 4, but the story's kind of set up in a way you don't have to start with volume 1 to know about the character, because each volume is kind of like a standalone story. So in this one, it's kind of like a whodunit. So story, like all these guys that had worked on this big major project for this corporation starts getting killed off, and Lady Mechanika gets framed for it. So she has to basically solve the murder and clear herself of the accusations against her and stuff like that. So it's like a murder mystery, this one, and it's really good. And the artwork is mind-blowing. The artwork is really good. You don't really see a lot of this kind of artwork now in comics. Unlike Marvel and DC, the artwork, well, really Marvel, the artwork's getting really bland, but this is like really detailed, really out there, fantastic artwork, and I love the steampunk style setting. Is really good. So this next one, this is an older one, but this one is Captain Britain. And this is written by Alan Moore and drawn by Alan Davis. Now, Alan Davis is one of my favorite artists. He done a run on Batman. I really loved his Batman stuff. He's one of my favorite Batman artists. And this story is just like, Alan Moore just has a way of really making these, characters who normally under anyone else wouldn't be that interesting. But he has a way of drawing them, and he has a way, of writing them that just makes them so fascinating. And this story is like so out there. And there's a quick cameo in the story by Miracle Man. They snuck him in one of the panels. But basically the plot is about this weird machine thing. You're not really sure what it is, that can travel from all these different parallel universes. And it basically has the ability to kill any superhero. Its superpower almost is it can kill any superhero. And so Captain Britain has to find a way to stop this thing. And it's like almost like a Borg-like thing. It's like just like this unstoppable machine with this like Terminator-like presence, and like the artwork is top notch, and as you can see, there's the machine there, and the way it's drawn by Al Moore to be really freaky and like drawn by Alan Davis. I get them mixed up, but drawn by Alan Davis. The machine looks really freaky, and the story is just so mind-bending. Alan Moore is just one of my favorite comic writers. So this, like, definitely, if you ever see this, pick this one up and read that Captain Britain one. And so the next one I read, this is a recent one. One of the more recent ones I read, and this is Steve Gerber's The Man-Thing. Now, I'm a big fan of the Swamp Thing. And I haven't really... I knew about Man-Thing, but I'd seen him around in other comics, but I never really read any of them. So I was kind of curious, and I know he came out around the same time as the Swamp Thing, so I ordered this off of Amazon. Now, this is Volume 1, and I've heard Volume 2 is actually better. But it has these really... It's similar to Swamp Thing. It has, like, these creepy, bizarre stories in it. And now the artwork kind of varies through it because it's different artists. And but it's now, in my opinion, it's not as good as Swamp Thing. But if you like Swamp Thing and you like those kind of horror-based stories with a lot of like dark fantasy and magic elements, and the good chance you'll probably like this as well. So this is another one that I would recommend that you pick up. And the next one, now this is another classic, and I recently read this for the first time, believe it or not, recently, is Wolverine Weapon X. This, when I bought this, I just read it cover to cover. I just consumed it. I love this story, and the artwork by Barry Windsor Smith is just, he's one of my favorite Wolverine artists. Like, my favorite Wolverine story ever that I had, the comic I had as a kid, he drew it, and he drew this too, and the artwork is just mind-blowing. And I wish they had done like a faithful adaptation of this story for the big screen. It would have been awesome. Or even better if they made this almost into like a Netflix miniseries or something like that. This would be awesome. Like, the artwork is just so fantastic, and it reveals basically how Wolverine got his adamantium on his claws, and how he got his adamantium claws, and how he got the adamantium fused to his bones. Now, I think at this point he didn't have bone claws. I think that was something that was done in the 90s. So that was something that was retconned in the 90s. I think originally the adamantium claws were something that was kind of like given to him by science, and not something it wasn't a natural part of his being to have bone claws. I think that was something they did added in the 90s, and it was kind of a bit of a retcon there. But this is a fantastic Wolverine story. Get this one if you're into the X-Men and you're a fan of Wolverine. If you are a fan of Wolverine, you probably already read this, though. And so the last one I want to talk about is this one here. I'm a big Batman. It's my favorite superhero. And this has some of my favorite Batman stories of all time in this volume. And it's Legends of the Dark Knight, Norm Breyfogle, Volume 1. So this, a lot of the stories in this book I had the comics of as a child or read them. This was like, all these stories came out right at the height of my interest in Batman when I was a kid. I really got into Batman in 87, so like the late 80s, early 90s stuff is some of my favorite. And Norm Breyfogle is one of my favorite Batman artists, and this is like a really nice edition. It's a hardcover book, and it has a nice, gorgeous dust jacket, and has some like really good stories in this one. And it's kind of interesting the way it's written. It's all like each issue is like a standalone case. There's a few 1 or 2-parters or 3-parters in there, but it is just really fantastic. And the artwork is top notch. It's just really good artwork. So I would definitely, if you're into Batman, definitely pick this one up. And it's got some really good stories in it, like when he goes against Cadaver and the Corrosive Man. That's a really good story. And when he squares off against the Demon in this one, and he goes against the Rat Catcher. That was another really good story. There's like so many in here. Like, this one is one of those ones I just could not stop reading. Just read and read and read. And finished it like in a couple nights, this one. It was a really good one. So those are some of my recommendations for graphic novels And just to kind of give you a quick review, all those ones, I give them like props. They're good ones. Definitely pick them up. I got a lot of graphic novels around, and I'm gonna go through and find some of the ones I bought and read that I didn't like, and probably do a video of ones that I wouldn't recommend and I would avoid. But those ones are all definitely good reads. Definitely pick them up. So that's everything I got to say in this video. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and I will see you at the next one. Thank you to all of my subscribers, and thank you for watching this video. And if you're new to the channel, like, subscribe, and share. And don't forget to hit the bell icon for notification when new videos are uploaded.